Hello, dear students of English O levels 1, 1, 2, 3, and those who are studying English as a first language in your IGCSE exam. For your IGCSE exam, today we are going to discuss about the accuracy of expression when you write anything in your English language paper. And what do we mean by accuracy of expression? We mean the use of correct grammar and punctuation. These two things are very important whatever you write in your exam. To achieve a good grade in your continuous writing task, it is important that your writing is secure in the use of the main punctuation stops, as this is one of the main requirements of assessment objectives. Remember, the point of punctuation is to help the reader grasp the meaning of what you are writing. You cannot communicate clearly without using punctuation accurately. And the use of correct grammar we have already discussed in so many videos. If you still have not watched those videos, you are highly recommended to go through tenses, active and passive voice, and use of modal verbs and parts of speech and other basic concepts of grammar to have correct usage of grammar and punctuation in your exam. But in this video we are going to discuss about punctuation, different punctuation marks. Full stop, it's very common to all of you know about full stop. The full stop is used to indicate a long pause and to mark the end of a sentence. The student completed his work and put his books on the table. It's complete, so we have added full stop at the end. Full stop is also used for abbreviated words ending with different letters. We mean a full stop is also used to indicate words that are abbreviated when the abbreviated form of the word ends with a different letter from the full form of the word. For example, we say September, but we don't use full spellings. We use short form, contracted or abbreviated form of September. So we use full stop at the end of these type of abbreviated words. Then we have comma in our punctuation marks. It indicates a short pause, and there are several usage. There are different situations where we use comma. The first one, to separate words or phrases in a list or series, except for the last two, which are usually joined by and. For example, in the school there are teachers, students, and parents. Now there were short pauses, but in the last two we make separate through the use of and, but all other words or phrases in the list, to make them separate we use comma. In the school there are teachers, students, and parents. Now the second thing is to mark off name or title. To mark off the name or title of a person being spoken, for example, we say, "Excuse me, sir, can you talk to me?" So here we have used sir as a title, so we are using comma to mark off this title. To mark off phrases or words in apposition, we also use comma. For example, Mr. Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, died. So here are the two words or phrases. Mr. Jinnah, the founder of Pakistan, it's a noun in apposition, so we use commas at the beginning and end of the founder of Pakistan to indicate this type of use of noun in apposition. We also use comma to mark off words and phrases interjected. For example, in the meanwhile, however, you should have told him. So here, however, we use comma to indicate that we have injected it, such as however, therefore, by the way, nevertheless, moreover, etc., that have been interjected into a sentence. We also use comma to mark off phrases beginning with a participle when a pause is required in the reading. For example, my brother, observing that I was unwell, asked me to sleep. Now, this phrase, this whole class, beginning with the participle observing. So we want to make it separate, this type of phrases or classes, when it's beginning with the participle. Then we also use comma in conjunction with speech marks to indicate the beginning of a passage of direct speech. Let me show you the example. The teacher looked at me and said. Now, after said, we will add what the teacher said, but in this passage, we are going to use directed speech, so we use comma in the beginning. To break up a sentence into smaller parts. Now, sometime we use comma in this sense as well, to break up a sentence into smaller parts and to help the reader to grasp the meaning. For example, Eliot, clumsy and tired, stumbled into classrooms, knocked at the door, and then, before father could notice him, went into his room. Now we have divided each section small parts of these sentences by using commas to make it easy for the reader to grasp the meaning. We also use comma to separate individual clause, adjectival clause. Actually, there are some mistake here. We use to separate an adjectival clause beginning with who, whom, and which. For example, the teacher ordered that all the students who were sitting in the class should be given gifts. So here is the adjectival clause who were sitting in the class. It is describing about the students. Now notice in the in this sentence, the clause who were sitting in the class must be non-defining and therefore implies that all the students in existence happen to be sitting in the class. However, if the commas were omitted, if we do not use these commas, so if the commas were omitted, the sense would be like that. The teacher ordered that only those students sitting in the class should be given gifts. So other might be deprived of that, but when we use comma, it means that all the students, and it is describing that they were actually all sitting in the class. This one, the last usage of comma is a bit tricky one. You should be good at grammar at the same time to think well whether you have to use comma or not, and where to use, after which word you have to use comma. Now semicolons. To separate two clauses when conjunction is omitted. Eliza was tired that evening. She did not want to read the book. Now we didn't use and, but, therefore, because, but we directly added semicolon. Eliza was tired that evening. She did not want to read the book. We also use semicolon to separate clauses or phrases in a list or series. For example, Ruskin jumped out of the sofa, ran out of the classroom, searched for his motorbike, and then ran to meet his father. Sometimes we separate clauses or phrases in a list or series like this. Then colons. When we want to separate two clauses, she was feeling excited. It was first day of her winter vacation. So actually we use this type of colon to separate two clauses where the second explains more fully the meaning of the first. So it is describing meaning more fully of the first, and we have used colons between these two clauses. Now, the second use of colon is to introduce a number of items in a list. The famous example is for example. When we say for example, and then we use colon and then we add a number of items in a list. Do you have the following? And then we add colons and then we add XYZ, blah, blah, blah. To introduce a speech or quotation, we also use like Julio. Here are the dialogues of Romeo and Juliet. So Juliet says, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? So here is again colon to show the speech, the dialogue of Juliet. Apostrophe, one of the interesting punctuation letter to indicate the omission of letter or letters. He is not here. We have omitted O, not, contracted form. That's why we have added this apostrophe to indicate that there is some letter missing that has been omitted. It's not his fault. It means it is. This is again the contracted form of it is. I have not. You were not. You weren't here with us. I haven't. So that's why we use contracted form with apostrophe to indicate that letter or letters have been omitted. To indicate possession, the child's toy. This apostrophe with S shows the possession. The child's toy means the toy of child, the toy that the child possesses. But if the noun end already with S, we only use apostrophe. We don't use apostrophe S. We only use apostrophe to indicate the possession. And there is some interesting details about where to use apostrophe S and where only to use apostrophe. Exclamation. Now there is exclamation. The sign of exclamation is also a punctuation mark. We use it at the end of sentence after exclamation. The weather is so beautiful. Now here is the sign of exclamation, the punctuation mark. You can see we also use exclamation punctuation mark after interjection. Alas, he is no more. Wow, we have won the match. Wow, alas, hurrah. Ah. So we also use these type of exclamation marks after interjection. Then let's talk about speech marks and inverted commas. To enclose a passage of direct speech, now there are three ways to show the directed speech. Let's learn about them. Alice said to her father, if mother does not come, we will leave tomorrow. Please, father, replied the son, let me go alone. You can go, answered her father. We should go alone. Actually, there is a little mistake. Apology for that. This is not a comma here. This is a separate clause. This is a separate clause. And here is the reporting speech, answered her father. And in inverted commas or speech mark, we also call it speech mark. We also call it inverted commas to show the direct speech. Now, what's the difference between three of them? Let's have a little look on the beautiful aspect of this as well. In the first sentence, comma is used. In the first sentence, comma is used before the word spoken. The first word of the direct speech has capital letter I here, then there is comma. In the second sentence, the words replied the son, which break the direct speech, are separated from the rest of the sentence by commas. The two commas you can see. Replied the son has separated two parts of reported speech or direct speech. Please, father, let me go alone. This is the complete sentence. The son replied, but it has been separated. So separately, I missed inverted commas here at the end in the editing. Let me go alone, and then there will be closing inverted commas, closing speech mark. Whereas in the third sentence, the two parts of direct speech separated by answered her father are complete sentences. For this reason, we has a capital letter here. We, it's beginning with a capital letter because it's now a new sentence. You can go and we should go alone are separate sentences. All right. So then we have question mark, very easy punctuation mark for all of you are very much familiar with it. Do you live here? And then we have a question mark at the end of a direct question. Dashes and hyphens to indicate an interruption to the planned flow of a sentence. The father showed his new shop. Very costly it was too, that he had purchased in 800 US dollar. So we have used these dashes before. Very costly it was too, and at the end of this too we have added this dash. Actually, this is an interruption in the main flow of the sentence. The sentence was, the father showed his new shop that he had purchased in 800 US dollar. Now here as the reporter comments, that is actually an interruption. Very costly it was too. To indicate sudden dramatic end to a sentence, it was the head doctor. Now this type of sudden dramatic end to indicate when a word or sentence is incomplete. Please, please, don't, don't. He begged, but it was too late. Now, writer has omitted the details. Please do not, what not to do, that is omitted. That is not added here. So when this type of word or sentence which is incomplete, that we also use, please do not, he begged. So here is the verb is missing, that he actually said please do not, and then he missed something after that. So this was the use of dash. It's almost complete. If you have further questions or queries, you can add in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. So hopefully we will add new topics in our next videos to make your English better for exams. Thanks for watching.